back to the VHS Ate My Brain podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Hawnt. I'm the author of a book called VHS Ate My Brain that came out in 2014. Eventually there was a revised edition that came out in 2023, and then in 2024 there finally came a sequel, VHS Ate My Brain 2, The Revenge. It also spawned the column in Scream magazine, the VHS Ate My Brain column in there, which I did the first year of. And it spawned various other things, other podcasts, other shows on YouTube, and I run the Planet Hex channel over on YouTube. I think that gets you up to speed with who I am. If you're listening to this, you probably know that already, so welcome back. I'm sorry it's been a long time since I did one of these. I'm getting back up to speed with everything. I'm getting back into making things on a regular basis. I've had a tough few months. Let's say I've had a tough few months. I've had some life changes. I've had to move. I have a place of my own now. I am single. I'm not beating them off with a stick at this point. I'm sure I will, because I'm so beautiful in every possible way, and so interesting and funny, witty, talented. No, I'm kidding. That's nonsense. I'm a bald dork that talks about old movies. So, c'est la vie. Anyway, yeah, I have my own place now. So this is Planet Hex. My place is called Planet Hex. That's what I call it, as well as my YouTube channel. So I've got a new place. It's full of RGBs. It's full of neon. It's full of horror movie posters. So yeah, it's very me. It's the first thing you see when you get to the top of my stairs. Get to the top of the stairs that lead up to my place. It's a big framed Creepshow poster. What else is there? In the main bedroom where I am, there's posters framed up for Creepazoids. That's way worse than Creepshow. Creepazoids, and an original video store one sheet for Trick or Treat. Of course, I had to have that in there. What else have I got up? In the kitchen, I've got a Hackers poster framed and a signed Nightmare on Elm Street print. And in the living room where I'm recording this now, in my new studio setup, I've got framed posters from Trick or Treat, another one, The Last Starfighter, and the video Dead. I mean, how could I not? This is my place, my sanctuary, where I can just enjoy the nonsense that I enjoy to the fullest extent possible. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm really grateful also to my friends and family that helped me move in, and it's been quite a journey, but this is what we do. So aside from all the life changes, I must tell you about the new VHS Ate My Brain books. Yep, VHS Ate My Brain 2, The Revenge will not be the last one. I am expanding the series. It is now a series with some spin-off books. The first thing that's going to come out, though, will be this year will be a digital version of VHS Ate My Brain, the revised edition, and VHS Ate My Brain 2, The Revenge. So I've never done a digital version of those two books, so I'm going to do one of those together. I could do them as individual ones, but I don't want to make people buy both if they want to read those. I can understand people want to buy both of the paperback versions because they look awesome on a shelf and it's great to leaf through them. But for digital ones, I'm just going to do an omnibus there. That's going to be out as soon as possible. And then that will be followed by a new volume of VHS Ate My Brain stuff, but this will be a spin-off. It's not going to be VHS Ate My Brain 3, although it'll be technically the third original one in the series. But this is going to be a spin-off around something that's very dear to me and very integral to my love of VHS and cult movies and that whole video rental era. So you can keep a lookout for that. That's going to be fun. There'll be some news on that soon. And beyond that, there'll be 2 releases next year, themed around different things. So there'll be 2 further VHS Ate My Brain books next year. Again, different spin-offs, but under the VHS Ate My Brain series umbrella. And this has given me the chance to explore other parts of this absolutely fascinating subject. Well, I find it fascinating, and I hope you guys do when I write these things as well. There's so much to explore in cult films, and the weird corners of what was put out on VHS. It gets weirder and weirder and weirder the longer I spend my time doing this, and I love doing this. So I want to make sure I'm doing this for as long as possible for all the good people that have been reading these books for over a decade now. So I'm really, really grateful. to everyone that's been checking them out for so long, I'm still getting messages even today from different countries all over the place about the effect that video shops and video rental stores and VHS tapes had on them and their lives. You can remember rewatching these things over and over and over without needing a subscription, without needing to sign into anything, without needing loads and loads of apps and things, and certainly without having an algorithm checking out everything you're doing, everything you're watching, and then, learning from that, learning your tastes, and then trying to make you watch other things that are related or vaguely similar. They're not always are. I mean, my tastes are quite eclectic, so they will be, there's not a lot of crossover in a lot of things there. But something interesting has happened this week. Well, last Thursday I got a message from Rob from the 80s Video Shop. Yep, I go there a lot, I talk about it a lot, but that is because I love it, and it's definitely becoming a well-known hub for VHS collectors, enthusiasts. Even if you can't get to the store, you can support them on Patreon, you can find them on social media and stuff. There's great stuff to take part in, and you can always find Rob on the VHS groups as well. But yeah, I got a message from Rob saying, we're going to be on TV. Do you want to come along on Monday morning? Okay. Now, recently, the 80s Video Shop has had a load of press. They had a news crew come over and interview Rob, take some photos, and then that report, which was for news websites, spread all over the place. It didn't just hit local news websites, it hit national news websites, it hit national newspapers, and the Express, the Eye, the Sheffield Star, I know it was in there, the Derbyshire Times, Metro, and many others. And it went worldwide as well, because it even showed up in places like the New York Post. And that is amazing, considering this is like a very niche place in ALFRETON in Derbyshire. For something like that to get so much decent exposure around the world is just amazing. So well done, Rob. Well done, Chris. That is brilliant. But yeah, this has then since snowballed into a TV appearance. So yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll see if I can get the time off work. So I booked the time off work and booked the morning off work, so I could go over. I said, you need to get here early. All right, okay, I'll get there as early as I can. And then I found out what it was for. I assumed it was just going to be like a local news thing, like with the new stuff that had happened in the papers for him. But no, this was much bigger than that. This was This Morning. If you're not familiar with This Morning, if you're not in the UK or anything like that, it's like a morning talk show variety thing with different people on, different sections about lifestyle and beauty and diet and news and current affairs and things going on around the country, that sort of thing. And it goes on for like 2 hours or so each weekday morning. And this is a bit of an institution here in the UK. I used to watch it when I was off sick, when I was off school sick when I was a kid, when I was a teenager and things like that. But I know my mum loves it dearly, and apparently it's still viewed by 500,000 people each morning, which is amazing to think of. So they wanted to do something in the 80s Video Shop. I'm like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever. This is serious. So I went along and I was thinking, okay, it's going to be, live TV, can't swear, can't go on too much, I must be professional around people, I must not be too weird at the crew. And I arrived to find that the crew were every bit as weird and eccentric as us, and they were such cool people. There was the presenter, Dan Hatfield, who has been seen many times on British TV, knowing stuff about being a pawnbroker and antiques and selling things and finding the value in things. So he's going to do some valuations and take a look around the shop. And there's a cameraman, a soundman, and the director, and she was so cool. They were also fun. They knew their movies. They had to go on the video game, the arcade machines in the 80s Video Shop, and they hung out. They reassured everyone. They were incredibly professional, and it has to be said that their professionalism went a long way to setting everyone at ease. and making everyone just relax. It's like, yeah, we are going to be on TV in front of lots and lots of people. They're going to see your face. They're going to hear how you speak. I don't mind my voice, but I hate how my face looks when my voice is coming out of it. I don't know if that makes any sense, or if it's just way too late that I'm recording this in the evening. You never know. It could be either. It could well be both. But anyway, we had a really interesting morning while the crew set up, and we saw how it was all done, how they plotted out the camera movements. There was a little bit pre-recorded. Then there was a little bit that was done live from the recreation of the 80s bedroom that's in there as well. And then 10:30 arrived, and we went live. So we took our places, and we went live. We were straight there on air. The 80s video shop was being viewed by thousands of people all over the country, and doubtless thousands more people once it went up on ITVX. It is up on ITVX now. If you want to go and see it, find Monday's episode of This Morning and scrub along to about 23.5 minutes in. That's when the main part starts. So do check it out if you haven't already. It's really weird to think that I'm on ITVX now. This is really cool. Always wanted to be on TV when I was a kid, and now I've finally done that. That's a really satisfying, really fun thing. But it was just a really nice atmosphere. It was a really cool way to spend a morning. It was really interesting to see the crew do their thing and set everything up and get their balances right, get the sound right, get the white balance, plot out what was going to be said. Dan went and he sat in the screening room, the private cinema that's at the 80s video shop, and did his cue cards so he could plot out everything that was on that. I did see over his shoulder at one point and saw that I was described as Andrew, black t-shirt. So yeah, that's me summed up basically. Just add a bald, and then you know exactly what you're getting with me. Bald black t-shirt, Andrew. But it was a beautiful thing to do. I always want to support the 80s video shop, and I want to support what Rob and Chris do with it, because it is the coolest place possible. And the idea that it exists in 2025 is just mind-blowing. And I'm so pleased that it's getting all this attention. It is entirely well-deserved. They are really cool people. Rob and Chris are just the nicest people, and they love this stuff. They have a genuine, deep, long-serving love of these cult films and video shops, and creating that atmosphere, being able to recreate the atmosphere of being in an independent video shop. It's just something really amazing that they've done. But I must say, I cannot fault the This Morning crew or Dan. They were the nicest people. They were really professional, and they were a lot of fun, cracking jokes, making movie references, and it was really nice in one way to see them walking around the 80s video shop. 'Cause I've been there many times now. I know the layout of the thing. I know that there's going to be tapes everywhere that'll distract me all the time. Yay, ADHD. ADHD. That's what it should be. But it was just really cool seeing them see it for the first time and going, oh my God, Explorers, I remember that. Oh my God, this, that, and the other, where they were finding tapes they used to watch growing up or in the younger years. And it was just lovely to see that first impression of the place again. So I've seen it a few times while being there, where families have come in and are being shown round by an eager parent, and it's like, this is what we used to do, and they're having to explain to the kids that this is what we used to do on Friday night. We didn't just find something on Netflix or whatever. We would have to go to this place, argue amongst ourselves until we decided what we were going to rent, and then rent it, watch it, and then take it back. And we had to make sure we took it back rewound, otherwise we might get a fine, and we couldn't be late because that would be fined as well, go on your record. And it sounds like an incredible amount of trouble that we went to, but it was satisfying. It was really satisfying. And to know that when you rented a video, you could enjoy it on your own, no one else out around, your own private cinema. Or when you bought a VHS tape, you know you could watch that over and over and over again, and no one's going to stop you. I think the only thing that would stop you is tracking or a dodgy player that's going to rip it to bits. But, I digress. No one's going to see you watching it. No one's going to be intruding on your privacy and your own enjoyment of that. And that's a problem I have personally with streaming at the moment, because I feel like no matter what I put on, I'm being observed, so that the algorithm can show me something else that I would like, so I would continue paying for subscriptions and so on. So that puts me off a bit. But it's been a great experience to be able to talk to the public, not just Dan, the public at large, about why VHS tapes are important. I only got like a minute. I actually, our section should have been 7 minutes, but it was reduced to 4 at the last moment when they went live, and we didn't know. That's why if you watch the replay over on ITVX, I talk far too long. And the other two that were next to me, Lucy and Chris, who were really cool people, definitely know their stuff, didn't get as long as I did. So I'm really sorry about that, Chris and Lucy. I didn't know. None of us did. But I've apologised online. I'll apologise here as well, because they were just really, really cool people. But it was a fantastic experience, and I'm really grateful to Rob for asking me along. I really, really had a lot of fun with it. And just to see how everything was done in the background was really cool. And I did try and get my books on there. But, I did try and... I got to mention that I'd written books. I didn't mention what they were. That would be direct advertising. But I made sure there were some around the shop visible. So, don't know if anyone saw any. But, it's the things you have to do. But, yeah, that was my highlight of the year so far, I think, was having that time there in a place I love, being able to enthuse about something I love dearly, in front of thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Because I'm proud of this. I'm proud of this scene. I'm proud of what we do. I'm proud of us putting so much effort into keeping it alive and keeping these things in the public awareness. And that, my friends, what a feeling. So now it's time for this week's Rentals. It's been a while since I've done this, so I have watched hundreds and hundreds of movies and TV shows since I last did one of these episodes, since I last did one of these podcasts. I am sorry about that. I'm not going to go over all of them, but my most recent two that I'm going to talk about. The first one I just rewatched today was Warlock: The Armageddon. So the second in the series of Warlock movies. This was a straight-to-video sequel, but it treats the subject matter and it treats the story like a far bigger movie, and that is really cool. Got Julian Sands in it, the late great Julian Sands, reprising his role as the Warlock from the first movie. He didn't come back for the third one, but this second one I feel is excellent. It's low budget. Yeah, it doesn't have an incredibly star-studded cast, but what it does have is a lot of energy. It has a lot of passion for what it's doing, and the cast do that. The cast pull it off. Where it's a bit ropey, because I did watch this on a 4K TV, where it is looking a bit ropey now is the effects, because this was the early days of CGI, and for a low-budget movie company to be using a lot of CG imagery, it kind of shows now. It's quite kind of pasted on in some spots in the movie, but I first saw this just on VHS on a CRT TV, so I never noticed any of that. I just thought it looked really cool. But the effects have not aged well. But what has aged well in this is the practical effects and Julian Sands' performance, because that's just always going to be good. So that's my first pick for this week's Rentals to check out. The other one is Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. I love a trauma movie. I love ridiculous things that know that they are awful, but awful in the best way. I like films where, now and again, I like these movies where they're in on the joke, they know this is nonsense and ridiculous, and they not only play it up, but absolutely revel in the ridiculousness of it, and that is entirely to be commended with Poultrygeist. There are musical numbers, there are jokes about every possible bodily function in there. It's a bit rude, there's some nudity in it, there's some really dodgy jokes in it, but they are done with tongue wedged firmly in cheek, and it is really, really cool to just sit there and let this insanity wash over you. And by the end of the movie, it does break down into complete and utter insanity, and that's just to be commended. The lengths they went to for just the depths of depravity they plumbed for that movie, it has to be seen, it to be believed. So yes, Poultrygeist is definitely my second pick of the week for this week. This week's Rentals: Warlock 2: The Armageddon and Poultrygeist. Sounds like a great double bill, to be honest, because you've got the serious one first, the serious horror movie first, Warlock, with a great cast and Julian Sands in it. And then you've got one about giant mutant chickens emerging from people's asses. In one scene, anyway. And other orifices. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It just defies belief, and that's why it is so marvellous. Absolutely marvellous thing to revisit that. Loved it. So yes, do check those out if you haven't already seen them. And if you have, recheck them out again, because that's brilliant. Why not? Just treat it like when we had VHS tapes all the time, and you could rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. You know? Why not? These things are there to be enjoyed. So this is the first episode of the new batch of VHS Ate My Brain podcast episodes. Thank you very much for joining me for this. There will be more of these. I'll try and get these out on a regular basis for you, but it's been a weird few months with all the big life changes I've gone through and the career stuff going on. There's been a lot of work going on. I've been playing in the band. I play guitar for Jan Doyle Band whenever I can. So there's been concerts, there's been, moving places, there's been dealing with the fallout of moving, and just everything's been a bit chaotic, but I'm trying to get back on track with everything for you guys now. So for you guys now, sorry, I can't speak, can I? Sorry. So yes, there'll be new books. There'll be new podcast episodes. There'll be lots of VHS-themed videos and other geeky type videos. I'm not just doing VHS stuff. And there will be, there'll be some more interesting things developing in the coming weeks and months that I'm too early in to really say much more about. But yes, look out for the new books, news on those, and do please go and check out my channel on YouTube. Look out Planet Hex, and you can find me there gurning on the thumbnail images, usually talking about weird old movies. But for now, thank you for listening to this episode of VHS Ate My Brain, because it bloody well did.